Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my top 10 worst movies of 2017 day. Exact opposite best. It is my worst list. Before that, I haven't seen as much bad films this year. I haven't seen 50 Shades Darker. I heard that was a really shitty movie, so I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey though. I'm refusing to see those spring movies, especially the one that's coming out next year. But 2017, I try my best to keep it out to myself. These are movies that mostly disappointed me. These are the movies that just feel like, what the hell are they doing? So guys, let's start off my top 10 worst movies of 2017 with number 10. Starting number 10 is a movie that has a bit of mixed reactions with other people. This movie, literally, I just wanted to leave the theater after I watched this movie. Starting number 10 is Kong Skull Island. And I know a lot of people did like this movie. Some people had a lot of fun with Kong Skull Island. Me, not so much. No, don't get me wrong, King Kong was awesome in this movie. The actions with King Kong, they were great. That's why it's very low on my list. But the biggest problem with this movie are the freaking characters. What are the characters? Seriously, they don't feel like characters. They just feel like people. Brie Larson basically takes pictures in this movie. That's all her character is. She takes freaking pictures. That's it. We don't get used to her backstory. It's just like, click, pictures. That is all it. And the adventure aspect is so freaking boring. I just wanted some more King Kong, but we don't get much King Kong in this movie. We just get all these characters that are so freaking terrible in this movie. That's why Kong Skull Island's on my number 10. Current number 9, you want to know one of the most forgettable movies of the year? Yeah, it's called Unforgettable. Stop making stupid Fatal Attraction movies. You never can make it good. Just because the movie Fatal Attraction comes out doesn't mean you have to make more of it. Katherine Heigl as the villain of the movie is so hysterical in a very shit way. And Rosanna Dawson is really terrible in this movie. They just put in two famous actresses in the film and try to make an intense movie. Or is it intense? Because it wasn't. It wasn't an intense movie. It's actually more of a hysterical movie that was trying to be awesome. I'll give you that. The cinematography is nice. But still, this movie is such a crappy stalker movie. I'd rather watch The Boy Next Door again after watching this film. Coming at number 8 is one of the worst horror sequels, or one of the worst horror third installments ever made. And that movie is Rings. Rings is a movie that I wasn't excited for. I really loved the first Ring movie. It's one of the scariest films I've ever seen. But then we get The Ring 2, the worst movie ever made. I'll give it that. Rings is better than The Ring 2. But that doesn't change the fact that this movie will still be a terrible movie. It is. The scares are so freaking cheesy and terrible. There's even a plane scene that I'm thinking, who wrote that scene? Seriously, the scares are awful. The acting is terrible. There's nothing in this movie that, not even one scene that made me jump in this movie. There are some scenes that I'll say, ugh, gross. I'll give it that. But there's not a scene that scares me. And that's the point of horror films these days. That's why Rings is on my number 8. Now coming in at number 7 is a movie that I was actually excited for. We have two actors in a survival film together. It should be amazing, right? Well, not really. The Mountain Between Us. Idris Elba and Kate Winslet were great actors. I loved them both. And we get to see them together in a survival movie. I reckon that would be amazing. But no. After the first 5 minutes of the film that I was more interested in depth with, the movie starts to get very, very boring. It's one of the most boring survival films I've ever seen. And it also changes the fact that this is a romance film as well. And that is the biggest concern with this movie. Seriously, the romance is very cliche. It's like every single romance film we have seen a million times before. I know it's based on a book, I get it, it's a romance novel, I get it, but they could have changed it. They could have changed it just stay as strangers. It would have been more interesting. They could have stayed as friends. But no, the writers are like, let's make this a romance film because everyone likes that. Well, not really. Seriously guys, The Mountain Between Us is one of the worst survival films I've ever seen in my life. So coming in number 6 is probably one of the worst survival films as well, with The Mountain Between Us. I think it's worse than Mountain Between Us actually. That movie is 47 meters down. We get a genius concept of the cage divers sinking down 40 meters down in the Pacific Ocean. It should be terrifying, right? Not in this movie. This movie was freaking boring. This is one of the most boring survival films I've ever seen in my life. Mandy Moore and Claire Holt, there were shit in this movie. This movie feels like it should have been a direct-to-video movie. It should have been like in freaking, I don't know, Lifestyle Channel. I don't know, something not in the theaters. I don't know why they released this in theaters. The sharks even look terrible. This movie's not even scary. This movie had made one of the dumbest decisions ever freaking made. Seriously guys, 47 Meters Down is one of the worst horror survival films I've ever seen in my life. And I see really bad survival films these days, but this film is probably one of the worst. Alright guys, up to the top 5. So my number 5 on my worst list is Geostorm. Geostorm is one of the most cliche-ass disaster movies. And yeah, there are a lot of cliche movies on my list. Special effects in this movie, it could have been realistic. It looks horrible. Even the tsunami in the film looks terrible. Gerard Butler, I feel so sorry for this guy. He has been in a lot of bad movies, including 300, but he's been in shit movies like Gods of Egypt. This movie, at least it was trying, but it doesn't change the fact that this movie is still going to be a really shit movie. This is one of the most boring disaster films, one of the most old cliche disaster films we have seen before. I'd rather watch San Andreas again than watching this movie. At least San Andreas was more interesting. This movie wasn't. Now covering number 4 is a movie that I kind of enjoyed for what it was, but it doesn't change the fact that this movie is still a terrible movie. My number 4 on my worst list is Kidnap. Halle Berry, man, I always feel sorry for this actress. She has been in some really bad movies all the time, like The Call and all that stuff. But she's been in some good films like the X-Men films and Kingsman and Golden Circle that came out this year. She was great, but this movie, I guess she was trying her best, but this movie is the most cliche kidnapping movies I have seen in a very, very long time. This is one of those movies that I was thinking to myself, do the writers can't think of any original ideas? Because they're just like, oh, let's make another kidnapping movie with a famous actor, and let's just like, make it a fun-ass movie. Yeah, I guess it's trying to be a fun movie, but this movie is just so freaking terrible. Even the action scenes were terrible. There's a car chase in the movie where you see Halle Berry turning the car, you see some blackout shots, and it makes you feel intense, but it doesn't. It's horrible. Seriously guys, Kidnap is one of the most hysterical movies ever made in a really shit way. Now number 3, these are the 3 F-bombs, just like 2016, these are the 3 F-bombs of this year. So covering number 3 is one of the worst murder mystery films I've ever seen in my life. That is The Snowman. Seriously, Michael Fassbender is now being in shitty movies. I always feel sorry for the guy. Most of the movies on my list, I always feel sorry for the actors because it's always the writers and the director's fault for making this movie come alive. The Snowman is one of the most boring ass movies I've seen all year. Seriously, when I was watching this movie, I was literally falling asleep 5 minutes into the movie. I wasn't even joking. And I woke up and I was about to walk out of the theater, but then I'm like, let me give this film a chance. Maybe it has some positives. And it does. The cinematography is great, but the story base is so boring. When the credits came out, I literally went into the bathroom and just go, why did I waste my money to see this movie? Why? This is probably one of the most disappointing films of the year. I was really excited for this film, but this is one of the worst murder mystery films I've ever seen in my life, and probably the most boring one too. Now cover number 2 is a movie, while I was making the list, I actually forgot about this movie, and that is fantastic. But now I'm talking about this movie again. It's Resident Evil, the final shittest chapter year. Seriously, Paul W.S. Anderson said, stop directing movies. You're a shit director. You always ruin Alien vs. Predator and basically the Resident Evil franchise. If I would say which one's the worst one out of the series, it is Resident Evil, the final chapter. This movie is horrible, and it should not be horrible because it's called the final chapter. It should be epic, it should be heartfelt, it should be awesome. But no, this movie is mostly a dumb horror action film we have seen a million times with the Resident Evil movies. The action scenes are so shaky cams. The acting is horrible. This is probably one of the worst action films I've seen in a very long time. Alright guys, you guys know what's going to be my number 1, so let's count down with me. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Emoji Movie. Oh my god! The Emoji Movie is probably one of the worst animated films ever made. This movie is so freaking boring. I'm literally not even joking. I know this is a kids movie. Oh bullshit. All the kids were playing on the iPhones while I was in the theater. They're playing with the iPhones and telling them not to leave. That's how shit this movie is. This movie not even the kids like the film. This movie is basically a product placement film. They go to Dropbox like, what the hell? And they fly Twitter bird. Even the Just Dance scene was so freaking hysterical. Like in a very bad way though. The ending dancing, I'm not even joking, I just wanted to leave this theater straight away. The emoji pop! And I was like, what the hell is that? It's like the writers are so lazy on making an original concept. This is the most cliche adventure film we have seen in a very long time. This is one of the worst anime films ever made. This could go in a section with Superman 4 Quest for Peace, The Room, Batman and Robin, and maybe Fantastic. Totally. This movie is just one of the worst movies ever made. I cannot believe we have a movie that's worse than Superman 4 Quest for Peace. I'm not even joking. Guys, the Emoji Movie is the worst movie of the year. It's one of the worst anime films of the year. That's why this movie is on my number 1. So guys, that is my top 10 worst movies of 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed my best list and this list as well. So guys, comment below, let me know what you think of what are your top 10 worst movies of 2017. You can make a video response or just put it in a comment below. So guys, I'm going to take a break this holidays and celebrate New Year's, and maybe on New Year's Day, I'll talk about my most anticipated movies of 2018, and I'm going to do my updated Blu-ray collection as well, so look forward to that. So guys, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and have a nice day.